Hello viewers of Cold Breath, today I will tell you a story I encountered. If you find this story interesting, please like the video and subscribe to the channel so that I have the motivation to tell you more interesting stories. We recorded a documentary in Chernobyl. We were a small documentary team, eager to explore how wildlife adapted to Pripyat's irradiated wasteland. It was me, Sam, Claire, and our Ukrainian guide, Victor. For a week, we filmed the strange yet hauntingly beautiful ways in which nature had not only survived but evolved to thrive in this toxic environment. The animals, while still recognizable, bore subtle signs of their adaptations. The birds, for instance, had lost their vibrant hues. Their feathers were now muted shades of gray and brown that allowed them to blend seamlessly with the desolate landscape. They flitted through the ruins, appearing almost ghostly against the crumbling concrete and rusting metal. Moths that once displayed delicate, intricate patterns now bore markings adapted to mirror the twisted trees around them. Their muted colors helped them remain hidden among the charred bark. Even the deer we encountered had changed. They were slightly larger, their bodies more muscular, as if nature was pushing them to survive in a harsher world. Their coats were thicker, more suited to the unforgiving environment they inhabited. The city itself was a mausoleum of concrete and steel, a place where time had stopped, yet life, however altered, had persisted. That's what made Victor's offer all the more enticing. He told us about a place off the regular tour route, an old cooling pond just outside the city. It was dangerous, he warned us, but the animals that lived there were like nothing we had seen yet. He agreed to take us. For a price, of course. We couldn't resist the pull of capturing something unique, something no one had ever filmed before. As night fell, we packed up our gear and followed Victor to the cooling pond. The Geiger counters in our hands clicked steadily, but it wasn't until we neared the water that the sound began to grow louder, faster. The pond itself was still, cloaked in a dense fog that rolled off its surface. We set up our cameras along the edge, scanning the water for signs of movement. At first, nothing, then ripples. They were small at first, subtle, like the wind had brushed the surface, but the air was completely still. The water began to churn, and something massive rose from the depths. My heart pounded as the shape emerged, a grotesque, nightmarish form. It was a creature that defied explanation, part human, part eel, its body slick and writhing with slimy, eel-like appendages. Its face was a twisted mockery of a human's, its two long fingers twitching with unnatural movement. A horrid mouth full of sharp, curved teeth gaped wide as it moved with terrifying speed, its eel-like body slithering across the ground. Before any of us could react, it lunged. Sam's scream filled the air as the creature wrapped its many fingers around his ankle and dragged him, kicking and clawing, back toward the water. Claire tried to run after him, but Victor held her back, shouting that the radiation was too high. The Geiger counters were shrieking in our ears now, the noise deafening, but nothing could drown out Sam's final scream as he disappeared beneath the water. We didn't think. We just ran, stumbling blindly through the darkness. The city had transformed into a twisted maze, and we were lost. Victor, who had been so sure of his path before, now looked terrified. "This isn't right," he kept saying, his eyes darting around in the dark. "This isn't the path." We finally found refuge in an old, decaying building. The walls groaned as the wind pushed against them, and we huddled inside, our Geiger counters still clicking softly. Hours passed in a tense silence, and exhaustion eventually pulled us into a restless sleep. The shrill sound of the Geiger counters jolted me awake. My shoulder felt wet, and a searing pain shot through me. I reached up, my fingers coming away slick with a liquid that burned my flesh like acid. I screamed as the substance began to dissolve my skin before my eyes, and despite Claire and Victor's frantic efforts to clean it off, I caught a glimpse of bone beneath the damage. Panic surged through me, and when I looked up, my breath caught in my throat. Above us, perched on the rotting rafters, was a pack of dogs. The ferals of Chernobyl stared us down, their bodies ravaged by years of radiation exposure. Their fur was patchy, skin stretched tight over their skeletal forms. Their eyes, once sharp and animalistic, were now dull and clouded with madness, driven to insanity by the poison in the air. One of the dogs growled, its lips pulling back to reveal blackened gums and jagged, rotting teeth. It lunged, and I barely dodged its snapping jaws. Victor grabbed me by the arm, hauling me to my feet, and we bolted out of the building. The dogs chased us through the crumbling streets, their mutated forms fast and relentless, driven mad by hunger and sickness. We ran blindly through the alleys of Pripyat, stumbling over debris and rusted-out vehicles. The dogs were relentless, their howls echoing in the dark, but somehow we managed to lose them in the tangled ruins. Victor found the road back to the van, and we piled inside, slamming the doors shut just as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon. He floored it, the engine roaring as we sped away from the nightmare we had witnessed. But it was too late. My body ached, nausea churning in my stomach. I leaned out the window and vomited, the bile burning in my throat. The radiation had gotten to us, seeped into our bones. I could see it in Claire's face, in Victor's shaking hands. I don't have much time left. None of us do. If you're reading this, please heed my warning. Don't come here. Don't let your curiosity lead you to Chernobyl. The radiation isn't the only danger. There are things here that no camera should ever capture, things that will haunt you long after the Geiger counters stop ticking.